Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Union Cabinet approves new policy to expand metro network across various cities. Private investment and innovative forms of financing of metro projects included for the capital-intensive high-capacity projects. India and the United States to establish new dialogue between foreign and defense ministers of both countries. The new dialogue format 2x2 will be similar to the India-Japan mechanism. Frustrated over the Doklam standoff in Sikkim, China resorts to aggression in other places. Its forces resort to stone pelting after their intrusion attempt is rebuffed in eastern Ladakh. And Information and Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad warns internet platforms, says they will be dealt with sternly if they don't remove links leading to deadly blue whale game. The government approved a new metro rail policy on Wednesday to expand the metro network across various cities. Private investment and other innovative forms of financing of metro projects have been included for capital-intensive high-capacity projects.
A Union Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved a new metro rail policy that will meet the aspirations of a large number of cities. Currently, metro rail services are operational in 7 cities, covering about 370 kilometers. As many as 537 kilometers in 12 cities are under construction, and proposals for as many as 600 kilometers are under consideration.
कि एक सिस्टम अप्रोच होगी, इसमें कोई एड हॉक सैंक्शंस नहीं हो. सीएमपी, इंटरमॉडल इंटीग्रेशन, ऑल्टरनेटिव एनालिसिस क्या है, ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम कहां जरूरत है, उसका एक रिगरस अप्रेजल बाय एन इंडिपेंडेंट एजेंसी, इकोनॉमिक कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस होगा.
The cabinet also decided to extend tax incentives to industries in the northeast and Himalayan states till March 2027 and approved mechanisms for strategic disinvestment.
जो सनसेट क्लॉज है इन एग्जेम्पशंस की, इसको 31 मार्च 2027 तक एक्सटेंड कर दिया गया है.
The cabinet also approved raising extra budgetary resources up to 9,020 crore rupees for long-term irrigation funds during 2017-18. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Union Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad today warned internet platforms of stern action if they didn't remove links leading to the deadly blue whale game. There have been instances of children committing suicide while playing Blue Whale Challenge in India. The Blue Whale Challenge is reportedly a suicide game in which the player is given certain tasks to complete over 50 days and the final task leads to suicide.
ब्लू व्हेल गेमिंग को लेकर लोग सुसाइड कर रहे थे. हम लोग के पास बहुत शिकायत आई थी, इंक्लूडिंग फ्रॉम द कंसर्न डिपार्टमेंट. तो वी हैव टेकन अ वेरी टफ मेजर्स. Clear instructions have been issued to all the technology platform that they must be linked with this gaming immediately. Because under the Indian IT ecosystem, no initiative shall be permitted which provokes young boys to commit suicide. This is plainly unacceptable.
Well, India and the United States will soon establish a new dialogue between the foreign and defense ministers of both countries. The name for the new dialogue format will be 2x2 and will be similar to the India-Japan 2+2 dialogue format. The new mechanism puts defense and security issues at the front and center of the relationship between India and the US. Here's more in this report.
US President Donald Trump's phone call to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the eve of Independence Day seemingly went beyond pleasantries. Both leaders agreed to elevate their strategic consultations by establishing a new 2x2 ministerial dialogue. A White House press release disclosed that they also resolved to enhance stability across the Indo-Pacific region by establishing a new dialogue mechanism. Both India and the United States share similar views on major global challenges like terrorism, the Indo-Pacific region, and bilateral defense ties. It also marks a shift from the previous US administration's policies and will replace the existing dialogue between foreign and commerce ministers that was started by the Obama administration.
This has been arrived at to ensure peace and tranquility in the Indo-Pacific region, which includes Indian Ocean region, it includes Off-Pak region, it includes South China Sea and East China Sea. And the entire thing is with China in the backdrop.
The new mechanism was also discussed by External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson during a phone conversation on Tuesday. MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar said they discussed the 2+2 mechanism to harness energy in foreign and defense engagements. In his conversation with Modi, Trump also welcomed the first ever shipment of American crude oil to India, which will start from Texas later this month. He pledged that the United States will continue to be a long-term supplier of energy to India. The US President is also looking forward to the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in India this November, where his daughter and advisor Ivanka Trump will lead the US delegation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
China on Wednesday claimed that it was not aware of the reports of its soldiers entering Indian territory in Ladakh. Indian border guards had yesterday foiled the attempt, resulting in stone pelting that caused minor injuries to people on both sides. Observers say that the Chinese move may have been aimed at testing waters on the Indian side. However, on a positive note, troops from both India and China exchanged sweets on Independence Day at various locations, including Doklam. The standoff in the Doklam area of Sikkim has triggered Chinese aggression in other border areas with India. On Tuesday, when India was celebrating Independence Day, Chinese troops were stopped from intruding in eastern Ladakh near the Pangong Lake. Frustrated at being thwarted by the Indian forces, the Chinese troops pelted stones and injured some Jawans. Experts feel the incident portends a dangerous turn of events.
China continues to act in a very unfriendly and an expansionist manner. It is quite clear that Xi Jinping, for personal aggrandizement, is putting on stake peace and tranquility in Asia-Pacific region, Indo-Pacific region, and in every region where countries are contiguous to China. In the long run, it will be fatal for China to indulge in such activities.
After getting rebuffed on the Ladakh border, the Chinese Foreign Ministry is now, however, denying the incident.
你说的具体情况我不了解，但是我可以告诉你的是，中国的边防部队一直在致力于维护中印边境地区的和平与安宁，而且呢，我们一直在实控线中方一侧巡逻和执行。我们敦促印方恪守两国间达成的有关协议、协定和规定，切实地遵守1959年实控线。
The Indian side has also chosen not to make a formal comment while indicating that such incidents are dealt with on the border itself. China is known for its practice to intrude and retreat when confronted while talking of peace. Strategists see it as a ploy to put India under pressure for a negotiation, when in fact China too can't think of a full-fledged confrontation.
China does it on a long-term basis. It's not in a hurry. So if we are going to think that China will straight away do something and be done away with, no. China will wait for a right opportunity when its pressures on its other borders are less, and when the atmosphere is congenial, the military action, adventure atmosphere is congenial for it, it will take action. And that's what China is waiting to do.
The latest confrontation between India and China comes ahead of the BRICS summit in China next month. Observers are waiting to see what effect it will have on the summit. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha Television. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi today accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of creating an environment of hatred and anger in Kashmir. Addressing a rally in Bengaluru on Wednesday, Rahul said Narendra Modi's policy created space in Jammu and Kashmir for Pakistan to misbehave. His statement comes a day after Prime Minister Modi said in his Independence Day speech that the problem in Kashmir can be resolved by embracing people and not through bullets and abuses. The Congress Vice President was in Bengaluru to inaugurate the Indira Canteen, the Karnataka government subsidized outlet that will provide breakfast at 5 rupees and lunch and dinner at 10 rupees. Initially called Namma Canteen, the name was later changed. The state government provided 100 crore rupees in the budget to set up the canteens in 198 wards of Bengaluru Mahanagara PALIKA. Pakistan on Wednesday violated a ceasefire by shelling forward posts and civilian areas along the line of control in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. This prompted the Indian Army to give a befitting response. There were also reports of firing and shelling in Mankote subsector of Poonch. This is the fourth consecutive day that Pakistani troops have violated the ceasefire along the LOC. On Tuesday, Pakistan violated the ceasefire in Baz and Nambla areas of Uri sector in Baramulla district of the state. Pakistan violated the ceasefire 4 times on August 13th by firing and shelling in Krishna Ghati, Nausheda and Mankot, resulting in injuries to 3 jawans.
आज सुबह 6 बजे से हमें रिपोर्ट्स आई कि मेंढर जो मनकोट है और मेंढर के जो और भी एरियाज़ हैं जैसे गोलट है, तो वहाँ पे LOC पे फायरिंग हुई सुबह से, शेलिंग भी हुई, हैवी शेलिंग। तो लोगों को हिदायत दी गई कि वो अपने घरों से ना निकलें इस दौरान, जिस दौरान ये शेलिंग हो रही है। और साथ ही साथ जो बच्चे हैं उनको भी स्कूल ना भेजें।
Now to Madhya Pradesh, where election results for the 43 local bodies, which include 14 municipalities and 23 Nagar Parishads, was declared on Wednesday by the State Election Commission. BJP emerged victorious again, winning 26 seats, while the Congress bagged 14 and 3 seats went to the others. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan took to Twitter to thank the party workers and leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Party Chief Amit Shah. Election results were also declared for 14 Janpad Panchayat members and 3 District Panchayat Sadasyas. Polling for the local body elections was held on August 11th. Over 8 lakh voters exercised their franchise for the polls.
मैं सबसे पहले तो जनता का आभार प्रकट करता हूं, फिर भारतीय जनता पार्टी में विश्वास प्रकट किया है। माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी के रूप में हमें ऐसा नेतृत्व मिला है जो दुनिया का सर्वश्रेष्ठ नेतृत्व है।
संतोषजनक नतीजा पार्टी के पक्ष में आया है और मैं समझता हूं कि इसके लिए सबसे ज्यादा साधुवाद धन्यवाद कार्यकर्ताओं को मिलना चाहिए, जो बड़ी शिद्दत के साथ पिछले 2-3 माह से इस काम में लगे हुए थे। और ये भी स्पष्ट होता है इन नतीजों से कि अब मध्य प्रदेश की जनता इस सरकार से ऊब चुकी है और परिवर्तन की बयार मध्य प्रदेश में धीरे धीरे शुरू हुई है।
Let's now get you a roundup of some other news from across the country and nationwide. As a follow-up action in the Kashmir terror funding case, the NIA conducted raids at 12 locations in Baramulla and Handwara in North Kashmir and Srinagar. The raids were carried out on the residences of relatives and acquaintances of a prominent businessman who is one of the accused in the case. The Supreme Court has asked the NIA to probe Kerala's case of a Hindu woman converting to Islam and marrying a Muslim man. The apex court also ordered that the NIA probe will be supervised by former Supreme Court Judge Justice R.V. Ravindran. The NIA told the apex bench that it has a prima facie view that Akhila Ashokan's conversion to Islam and marriage to a Muslim man was not an isolated incident. DMK President M. Karunanidhi was today hospitalized to undergo a minor procedure. The veteran leader has been ill since last year and is being treated at his Gopalpuram residence in Chennai. Bengaluru received 128.7 mm of rainfall, the highest in a day since 1890 according to the Met Department. The highest ever rainfall recorded in the city in a day was on August 27, 1890 when Bengaluru received 162.1 mm of rain. The worst hit areas were South Bengaluru, which houses offices of many IT majors and startups. The flood situation remains grim across several states. The death toll in Bihar due to floods rose to 56. Heavy rains over the last 3 days triggered flash floods affecting nearly 2 million people. While in Assam, the deluge has claimed over 100 lives and over 32 lakh people have been affected by the flood. As many as 3,192 villages are under water and 1.79 lakh hectares of crop have been damaged. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
National Institute for Research in Tuberculosis, in fact, has done extensive work on vaccine research related to TB, especially with the BCG vaccine. We have now very good treatment for TB, and we have shown that it is possible to cure TB provided the patient takes the treatment properly. Delayed detection of the TB disease results in more transmission in the community.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Srikant Prasad Tripathi, Director at National Institute for Research Tuberculosis, Chennai, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Unakoti, the famous Shaiva pilgrimage spot in Tripura, dates back to the 8th and 9th century. The name means one less than a crore. It owes its origin to an interesting legend that says Lord Shiva, who was on his way to Kashi, stopped here for a night halt along with gods and goddesses. Together, their number totaled 1 crore. At sunrise the next day, Lord Shiva was incensed to find all the gods and goddesses still asleep. Cursing them to become stone images, he left alone for Kashi. Unakoti, apart from its rock-cut carvings, has an imposing Shiva head called the Unakotishwara Kal Bhairav. Other eye-catching works include 3 enormous images of Nandi bull that are half buried in the ground and a gigantic Ganesh. To this day, the logistics of these huge carvings remain a mystery.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, US President Donald Trump is sticking to his stand of blaming both sides for the violent unrest in Charlottesville in Virginia, which left over 1 protester dead and several others injured. After condemning the white supremacists on Monday, he had blamed left-wing supporters for charging at the alt-right on Tuesday. However, his latest comments have drawn criticism even from within his Republican Party.
There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
On both sides, sir, you said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Monday at 13:25.
Soon after Trump's second comment blaming both sides, over 100 protesters rallied in front of the Trump Tower in Chicago, denouncing the racist rampage in Charlottesville, and the president's ambiguous attitude on the issue. Rallies, protests and candlelight vigils were also held elsewhere in New York, Washington, D.C., Detroit, Minneapolis, Dallas, Miami, Los Angeles and Seattle. The right-wing march had been organized to protest against the proposed removal of a statue of General Robert E. Lee, who commanded the pro-slavery Confederate forces during the American Civil War. The event drew white supremacy groups. Violence broke out after they were confronted by anti-racism groups. A car plowed into one group of anti-racism protesters, killing one and injuring 19 others. Well, the US has released the 2016 International Religious Freedom Report. This is the first report to be released under the Trump administration. Releasing the report, US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that religious freedom is under attack in Pakistan. The report says minorities like Sikhs, Christians and Hindus remain concerned over the government's inadequate action to address forced conversions to Islam. The report further says members of religious minority communities and that there continued to be inconsistent application of laws safeguarding minority rights and enforcement of protections of religious minorities at both the federal and provincial levels.
Almost 20 years after the law's passage, conditions in many parts of the world are far from ideal. Religious persecution and intolerance remains far too prevalent. Almost 80% of the global population live with restrictions on or hostilities to limit their freedom of religion. Where religious freedom is not protected, we know that instability, human rights abuses, and violent extremism have a greater opportunity to take root.
Well, the report also talks about conditions in several other countries across the world, specifically in China, where the report says that the situation is of particular concern. China responded by asking the US to discard bias and stop using religious issues to interfere in other countries' internal affairs.
中国政府充分尊重和依法保护民众的宗教信仰自由。 中国各民族、各地区的人民依法享有充分的宗教信仰自由。美方的所谓报告罔顾事实、颠倒黑白，对中国宗教自由状况进行无端的指责，中方对此坚决的反对，并且呢，也就此向美方提出了严正的交涉。大家也都看到了，事实证明，美国并不完美。我们敦促美方尊重事实，管好自己的事情，停止利用所谓的宗教问题干涉其他国家内政的错误做法。
At least 27 people were killed and 83 injured as 3 female suicide bombers blew themselves up in northeastern Nigeria. The attack took place outside a refugee camp near Maiduguri in Borno State, a stronghold of the Islamist militant group Boko Haram. The first bomber blew herself up near the camp, triggering panic as people were trying to close their shops. 2 other female bombers triggered explosives, causing most of the casualties. Rescue workers transported injured victims to a hospital in Maiduguri, 25 kilometers away from where the incident occurred. Boko Haram has been fighting to set up an Islamic State since 2009. Well, here's a roundup of the other international news in Global Buzz. Pakistan's ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif filed 3 separate appeals in the Supreme Court to review its verdict in the Panama Papers case that resulted in his disqualification. In 3 separate review petitions, Sharif's lawyer Khwaja Harris cited 19 reasons as to why he should not be disqualified. Sharif appealed to the top court asking for an injunction to suspend its original verdict till the review petitions were decided. The petitioner also argued that Sharif did not conceal documents in his nomination papers ahead of the 2013 presidential polls. The Supreme Court had labelled Sharif dishonest due to this. China overtook Japan to become the world's largest holder of U.S. Treasury securities. China's holdings of U.S. Treasuries increased by $44.3 billion in June. The total holdings up to $1.1465 trillion. Japan, which overtook China as the largest holder of U.S. Treasuries last October, cut its holdings by $20.5 billion to $1.0908 trillion in June. China's foreign exchange reserves rose for a sixth consecutive month in July, reaching $3.081 trillion, according to People's Bank of China. Floods in North Bangladesh have killed at least 39 people in the last few days and affected more than 500,000, many of them fleeing their homes to shelter in camps. In Gaibandha in northern Bangladesh, soldiers were seen reinforcing houses with sandbags. Monsoon rains start in June and continue through September. They are vital for farmers in India, Nepal and Bangladesh, but cause loss of life and property damage every year. Devastation caused by floods and mudslides have wreaked havoc in Sierra Leone. It occurred in the Faula town area of Freetown. Rescue workers have uncovered nearly 400 bodies and expected that number to surpass 500 as the search continues. Another 600 people are estimated to be missing, according to the Red Cross. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.